Hey, good evening, everybody. What's going on? It is time for PodcastPD episode 99. And we're going to be talking about self-care for the educator. Let's start the show. This is PodcastPD, the show that provides you with anytime, anywhere professional development. Our conversations and guests will provide you with the learning you might get in a faculty meeting or on a PD day. Except you're going to have more fun with AJ Bianco, Stacey Lindis, and me, Chris Nessie. Let's start the show. Good morning, good afternoon, but especially good evening, everybody. Welcome to Podcast PD. It's episode 99. It's me, your old podcast pal, Chris Nessie, and I am joined by my Podcast PD compadres, the incomparable Stacey Lindis and the Alvin Jefferson Bianco.
What's that shirt, AJ?
Everybody's asking about my shirt. Like my shirt, I got my core 4. So I got Batman, Superman, Green Lantern, and Flash all rolled into one.
There's no Wonder Woman on there. Boo.
It's the 4 guys. It's not about women. No offense. This is just the 4 guys. This is not for anything else. They're all split into quadrants. Sorry. It would kind of look weird to have a woman's part on the gentleman. Just saying, it wouldn't match the shirt.
It's 2021, AJ. I don't know what you're talking about. We can put all the parts wherever we want.
I'm doing great this evening. Hope everybody's doing well on this Sunday night. So, nope.
AJ, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well this evening. Thank you for asking. I appreciate it. After whatever that was to start. Wow.
Yeah.
You're right, Chris.
Bubbly Mike. That's not good.
Yeah, you are.
You're very crackly. You're popping. I already said that to you in the chat.
Not like in the song way. So
I meant to say that to you when we were just chatting.
How about now? Testing.
You're better.
You're better.
Cool.
You're better. That was fun.
If I should get you guys like a "Hey, your mic sucks" sign to hold up, which is really aggravating because
it still sucks.
It's doing it again.
Sucks.
It's doing it again. Can I just go like this every time? Is that how it works? We are off to a rocking start. I was late.
You guys talk. I will fix this. Go ahead.
All right.
Cool. Yeah.
So, what'd you do this weekend, AJ?
Sports.
Or actually, in the last 3 weeks, right?
It's been a while. Yeah, we haven't recorded since like the beginning of May. We had off for our typical week and then off for Mother's Day. So, Stacey, with that, how was your Mother's Day?
It was amazing.
Ooh. Doubly amazing.
That was
what made your Mother's Day so amazing?
So we went back to some traditions.
I guess traditions is part of it. Oh, it's me. So anybody out there listening to Podcast PD, we are rocking and rolling as we are live this evening. This is what live radio is, I guess. Chris just hits buttons, makes us look terrible. I show up late.
I'm repetitive.
Yeah, it's all good.
No, it was good. It was good. We went back to some old traditions of we always went to a diner on Mother's Day, and I would go get my mom, and we would go. Last year we couldn't do it because of COVID, so this is the first year back, and the boys made it a special day. We went hiking, we went geocaching. I just discovered that I had poison ivy from geocaching last week. I thought they were like little mosquito bites. Oh. No, it's poison ivy. I couldn't see it though.
Yeah.
And so that's brilliant. But they played a game that they've never want to play with me. So I felt a little pampered, but not overly pampered. It was like little things that I wanted to do and then got done. And then, Doug cooked a really great dinner. And now it's Father's Day is coming up. And we're getting set up.
We got like a month for Father's Day. So let's not even make that a thing.
It's coming.
Let's just make it through the school year.
It's like the next thing I have to. Well, actually, it's not the next thing because May in our household is like everyone's birthday, Mother's Day, and our anniversary. So yeah, Doug and I celebrated our anniversary this week as well. So
cool. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. What'd you do for Mother's Day? All those ladies in your lives.
I mowed the lawn. I barbecued. Whatever. It's small things. Like you said, we don't have any traditions right now, and if we did have a tradition, I probably wouldn't go through it. So. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see my folks because the weather was iffy on the Saturday before.
Yeah.
We were supposed to do some things that weekend. They were going to come up and see the boys play and go in the backyard for a barbecue. But because of the weather, I told them not to come. So we're going to do our Mother's Day with my mom next week. And then, we see Jamie's mom all the time. So we'll hang with her and do a Mother's Day dinner and all that kind of stuff. So, it was low key. I went to go get donuts. I brought Jamie some donuts. And
for Jamie, I'm sure.
Yeah, for Jamie. Of course. Only for Jamie.
Of course.
I might have eaten more of them, but they were for her. But here we are. And that's all right because Mother's Day is supposed to be for her.
I like it. Chris, how's your mic working? No.
Okay,
All right.
Chris is not ready to roll.
This is Chris's idea, today's topic episode. But as we're waiting, if you're looking for some more live action, join me tomorrow morning. I hate you both so very much. And it better be cut out. This is what, 8:42?
I don't
6
even
minutes
think
in.
there's no way this can be a podcast. I'm sorry. This is just straight up. We are on YouTube right now. There's no way any of this could be a podcast. Thank you.
Anyway, if you would like to have live, I can't even say it. If you'd like to join us in Clubhouse in the morning, we'll be back there live tomorrow, where we'll be talking about some motivation for the week every Monday at 7, every Friday at 7, 30 minutes for my commute. And we get to talk about all kinds of fun things. Last week we talked about, we talked about using kids' names the right way and saying them the right way, not necessarily using them, but saying them the right way. And how, I just recently found out that one of my kids, excuse me, did not correct me in saying his name until about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And, how the conversation that we had surrounding that after he corrected me, created a safe space for other kids to kind of jump in and say, yeah, actually, Mrs. Lindis, you're kind of not saying it right. And, that's really helpful. And, I admitted that in the 19 years that I've had my last name, I don't often correct people either. I try not to make it a big deal, and I as an adult, what does that look like for adults and why we don't correct people saying our names. But it came up in something that I was listening to. And then now it's something that I'm making important for next year. And it's something I've always been passionate about. But anyway, so that's what we talked about last week. We reflected on the week. We had lots of great reflection this past week. And I miss you in the morning. I know it doesn't make sense for you to join us every day or every Monday or Friday at 7, but whenever you can join us, that would be great. And Chris Stephanie has totally stepped up as producer of the show. She's been great because she's been a great moderator. She helps me out when she can. And there's been some fun conversation in there. So,
my biggest thing, I want to be part of it, but my biggest thing is the fact that I get in the car like 7:10 and then I have like a 10-minute ride. So while I'm doing that, no offense, I have some podcasts that I listen to that are quick ones. I have 3 podcasts that I can get through. They're kind of like my motivation for the day. They're like 6 minutes a piece. And, I see you guys on there and I'm glad you guys are doing it. So if I can get in there tomorrow, I'll get in there. But I'm happy for you and I'm proud of you for continue pushing and getting people involved.
Yeah, I like it.
Yay, Stacey.
Yay.
For real?
For real. Not even joking with you.
So, Chris, how's your week going?
Chris doesn't want to talk. He's afraid to talk right now because his mic. Like, he's mic shy. Some people are camera shy. Chris is mic shy right now. Yeah. Nope, that was an echo.
Oh, Mel, your electricity is out now. How are you listening to us?
Yeah, how you doing that?
I can still hear you. How does it sound now?
It's still the same. Can you unplug the mic? Like, can we go back to back the 90s? Like, unplug it, blow on it, and plug it back in? Like, does that work? Is it still a thing?
Bang the cartridge.
Yeah, just hit it against like the old Nintendo. These poor people. I am so sorry for you. At least Mel A Tim KV. I know Stephanie's here. I am so sorry. Like you tuned in and we are just off our game today. This is just
they
not
are having
going
their
well
own
for
side
you.
conversation about electricity and conferences and
Tim KV actually tried to put it on point and like your episode is supposed to be about self-care. Here's what can you please talk about self-care? So thank you, Tim. Maybe we should have Tim join in. He can help us lead the conversation. So Tim, PodcastPD.com/live. Get in there. Help us out. Nope, that was muted, Chris. No words. What are you showing me? Oh, join. Yeah, PodcastPD.com/join. I just type in PodcastPD. I click whatever comes up, and I'm here. Late.
How about now?
Oh my God, you fixed it.
good job. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
And Mel, don't come on this show. Yes. Don't come on this show and tell us you're listening to somebody else's podcast.
How do you do that? How do you possibly do that?
Tim just said he was listening to something too, like something in the middle.
He's checking email and having a good time. Like, thank you, Tim. Tim, I love you. You're a good dude.
I love it. I love it. I love that everyone joins us each
It's on his
week.
alarm, and I appreciate that. It should have been on my alarm. No, I was late because I was putting the kids to bed, and yes, I just got out of another podcast, so I wanted to make sure I gave the kids to bed. So I'm sorry I'm late. I'm coming to from another podcast here. Love you guys.
Anyway, do you want me to restart, or do we want to like make a marker here at? Do we want to, seriously?
We're at episode 99. This is 99.
Got you. Tim said he was listening to your podcast from earlier.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Tim.
How about this? You guys do the show. I'll just push the buttons.
Cool. I'm glad we're going to do the show based on your idea. So here it goes, everybody. 99. The Aaron Judge of our episodes. I'm not going to combine podcasts with Chris. He's on fire. All right. Anyway. So Chris is going to give us weird faces. So Stacey, let us talk about self-care.
Let us talk about self-care.
I am not good at this. I'm going to stop being silly for a minute. I'm not good at this self-care, right? Because there's a lot of things going on in this area, right? We got workout stuff here. We got kids upstairs. We got Chris is like gone. There's like a lot of things that happen in this house. We want to make sure everything works out. So look at myself as an educator when I'm at school and when I'm not at school. I'm not good at taking time and really kind of unwinding. And when I do unwind, I feel like I'm putting things too far on the back burner. For example, I have not recorded an episode of Reflect Ed in about a month because I've been trying to do so many other things that I'm just, I want to say burnt out, but I don't think that's the word. I'm just kind of like going through the motions of I did this today. I'm tired. I'm going to do what I want. You know, and while recording the podcast is something that I want to do, it has not become my priority one.
But I think that is self-care, right? It's like taking a break. I always marvel at like what a machine Chris is and making sure that all of the things he has to get done, because I'm the type of person where I'm like, right now I need this minute.
Mm-hmm.
And then it does fall into self-care for me. And it becomes I need this break. I need this time with my family or whatever. So, but then I find that I'm like crunching in all the other things and it creates this crazy cycle of like, now I'm feeling highly stressed.
Yes.
And I need to go back to like using the Calm app or just sitting quietly or, for me, sometimes self-care is as simple as playing a game on my phone, right? Like some mindless, silly little game while I'm listening to a book or listening to a podcast. And all of that for me is self-care. So I probably overindulge in self-care a little too much. I played a board game before we came on to record with my older son who, was just kind of hanging out. He's like, I'm bored. I was like, hey, let's play a game. Mm-hmm. He's like, okay. And I was like, all right, well, there goes my lesson plan time. So I did lesson plans in like record time and they're kind of janky, but I'm all set for tomorrow. And I figure I can figure out the rest of it because for me, playing a board game with my son was more important than doing lesson plans. And so, I kind of overindulge in the self-care.
See, I wonder if that's a thing too, because I wonder, when I was on break a couple weeks ago, I really made sure that I was on break, and I know I shared this. I was with Caitlin for the entire break, so it was just me and her, and I walked the boys to school back and forth, and I enjoyed that, and I think I should have put some time into my work during that week, because when I came back, I felt that I was a little bit off. I felt like I had to kind of restart and reboot in order to get to where I wanted to be. And I don't know if I've actually got back to that point, because, I'm kind of like resetting. And I know like we're going through the motions of like, it's the spring fever. Now I'm coaching. Now I've got this going on for so I'm having a harder time now getting back into the groove. Hi, Chris. Welcome back.
Hey,
Chris.
guys.
What's up?
I'm just going to tell you to stop fidgeting, because you're suffering from AJ syndrome, where like your mic is like, but you have a different mic.
Okay.
Well, when you hit your thing, when you hit your arm, your boom arm.
Well, at least coming in this way, I can't play any sound effects.
Oh, okay. This is to our advantage.
Stacey, this is your dream come true. This is going to be
dream.
your favorite episode ever.
Yes, I won't be distracted by my own idiotic things that I've said in the past, and I won't be recorded for the idiotic things I'll say in this episode. This will be good. Good. But Tim Cavey just gave you some props, AJ, talking about how you and Chris, both of you, with your little people that you have at home, and just being such amazing content creators. And that's pretty cool. It's a big deal for you guys to still produce, still be productive, right? And manage a household. And, you have the added joy of a third child, which, it's just like extra.
How did you know my wife considers me the third child?
I mean, it's true in my household too sometimes.
See, I got to be honest. One of the things that's kind of like hurting me, because of the kids, they're staying up a little bit later because they're not tired. The sun is out later and longer. So I'm finding it harder for me to get down here, to get into like this groove down here. After 9 o'clock, I'm watching the Yankees. I do a workout, and then all of a sudden I'm tired. So where I used to, and this could be self-care, I don't know, where I used to have to like midnight to make sure my stuff was done before I went to bed, I don't do that anymore. I'm in bed earlier, whether it's 11, I know it doesn't sound early, or 11:30. I am not staying up until midnight anymore.
But wait, I do know that is early for you. So like that is amazing self-care, because you're realizing like you can't go at,
right.
You can't go at burning both ends of the candle forever. That's
an hour and sometimes 2 hours earlier than I have been going to bed in the past. So, it's kind of, it feels good, but at the same time, like I'm losing time to do what I want to do. That makes sense.
Yeah, it does. But I also know that you being the family guy that you are, like the time with your kids is probably also a different version of self-care.
Depends on the day.
Yeah.
It depends on the day. Like coaching the boys, coaching Ryan's team right now. I'm coaching 2 of his teams. I love doing that. So that's self-care, even though it takes away my Saturdays and Sundays and just a couple of practices during a week. I'm absolutely enjoying like watching him become a ball player.
Yeah, I used to love watching the boys on the weekends, whether it was soccer or baseball or whatever. Even a couple of years ago, watching Richie run cross country, just fun. And that too is its own self-care, right? Like all of that physical activity for you, Peloton, for me, just a good workout or a walk or a run. And Chris, what do you do?
No, I was going to say, I wasn't going to go there because I'm on hiatus, but
okay.
I say today
CrossFit.
I'll answer for you. Yeah, I'm a CrossFit. Through the park system here in Monmouth County, we put the boys in a lot of programs. So today I got to take them. They're currently in the midst of a running program. So I took them to one of the big parks, and I got to sit in my tailgate chair under a tree and literally watch them run in the field. 2 separate age groups, but it was just super peaceful, super relaxing. And, I really resonate with what AJ says, because, that self-care, spending time with my kids, my family, that's good stuff. Self-care doesn't mean I need to be doing something by myself, but, stepping away from House of Ed Tech or stepping away from lesson plans and, leaning into, my wife, my kids. And, that's what, and if you're not somebody who's got a family, lean into, your passions and, what makes you smile, because let's be honest, our jobs don't always make us smile.
You're talking about it every day. You walk in with a smile every day.
True story.
Choose your attitude.
Tim Belmont said it too. He said, yeah, I know for me, sometimes really tuning out feels like a bad use of time since there's always something else you can get done. But I think sometimes it's the time we need, right? To just kind of veg out and watch 3 episodes of my current addiction, which is Veep. I'm loving Veep. If you're into politics and silly humor, it's like The Office meets West Wing, and it's a good show. And like sometimes it's the best self-care, right? Just sitting there and chilling.
So let me run with that for a second, because I agree with Tim. Obviously, I just talked about it, right? But when does it become too much? Is there something that is too much self-care? Like, is it too much to say, I'm just going to hang out, feel good, had a long day, had a productive day. Now I'm just going to put everything on the back burner and just hang out for the rest of the night. I'll get to it tomorrow, and then I'll do it tomorrow, and be productive tomorrow. But is there too much self-care?
Yeah, it's when the tomorrow never comes, right? Like when you keep pushing things off, right? I'm looking around the room that I'm in right now recording, and it's quite the mess. And it's because this weekend there was just a lot of like.
Is that a mess by mom standards or like regular human being standards? Because I know there's a difference.
This room is, if we were an expletive show, I would say what it is. It starts with 2 S's. It's just a hot mess right now. It's just super messy. A lot of the mess is actually mine because I just can't contain all of the things that I have in this room.
I need to ask for clarification. I know what one S word is. What's the second one?
Show.
I'm glad you could say show on this word. You're like, it's 2 bad words. They both start with an S.
Oh, no,
like,
I said
she didn't say 2 bad words.
I said it was
a bad word. They both start with an S. I knew exactly what you were saying. I was waiting for that light bulb to come on. Didn't see the light bulb for you.
Oh, for me. Thanks.
Yeah.
Must be the new angle of the room that we're seeing. But, it can become too much. But I think, self-care this year has really taken... Like when Chris proposed the idea, I was like, oh, I'm not really loving that idea just because I feel like there's such a negative connotation. It's like the dirty word in education, like that PLC became, right? Like,
does it start with an S?
Nope. It's well, yes, because it's self-care, right? It starts with an S.
Why is self-care a negative?
Because I think everyone's go-to phrase was take some time for yourself, treat yourself to some self-care. And no one really recognizes that what AJ is saying is when you give yourself an abundance of self-care, or you don't even know how to practice self-care, it creates more anxiety, right? So like all the things I didn't do tonight to prepare for tomorrow, I'm going to end up doing tomorrow morning, right? And so then, like I said, it becomes this cycle, this circle of like, okay, well, I didn't do this. Now I need to like run down this rabbit hole, and then I'm going to go and like have an Calgon moment, right? Like if you think about like the old commercial where like women sat in the tub and Calgon took them away to I don't know where. I never really understood that, but now as a mom, I'm like, yeah, sometimes you just need that like moment. But when you I think that for like it just became too pat of an answer, right? Like where some administrators said, don't forget to practice some self-care, give yourself grace, and I believe in all of that, but I don't think that. Like you can say that, but then also give us the time to practice some of that in school, or give us the time to practice that.
Well, see, that's the difference. Self-care is on your own time. We can't be taking away time from, what we do during the school day, because when you're at school, it's got to be all about school.
But then I don't want to hear an administrator say that to me. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I mean, just think of the teachers out there who the administrators don't even say that.
Okay, so let's go back because now I feel targeted.
You're not targeted. You're not targeted.
He's the only administrator. As the administrator on the panel.
I mean, look, when we went into break, I told my staff, take time for themselves. I felt like, I know it's hard because I know that a lot of them were going home to their kids. A lot of them, to be honest, our break was later than many other schools around the county. So for some people, they actually could take time for themselves. But, when I say take time for yourself, I don't mean like shut down completely. I'm trying to be clear and say, take time for yourself, even if it's a minute, even if it's a lunch, even if it's a bath, whatever the case may be. Like, obviously I'm not saying like, hey, go shut down and close your eyes for the next week.
Some people might need that though, and they can't.
Understood. I live with it. Can't.
So self-care means something different to everybody.
Sure.
And nobody should need permission from anybody else to take care of themselves. I don't need anybody's blessing for me to put me first. Right? I think a lot of people, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there's a lot of people who don't feel empowered enough personally to put themselves first. Or they put on this big act of everything is, I put everything first. And, my students in my magical classroom, all this other crap. Take time for yourself.
I agree with you. And like, I believe in it so much that I do that in my own classroom, right? So before mindfulness and meditation were buzzy things that, and SEL and all of that was like the new thing, right? I was doing that almost 20 years ago in my classroom when I taught second grade, and we would come back from lunch and recess and we would have what we would call quiet time, right? It was just quiet time. They could color, they could read, they could draw. It was also the time everyone got a chance to use the restroom before we tackled the big work of the afternoon, right? And so that is something that I still do as a fifth grade teacher, and we just have named it something else because the district puts a different emphasis on mindfulness and meditation and social emotional learning. And, those are good things to teach your kids to do as well. And it's funny because one of the things so we just went through our end of the year evaluation. And one of the things that I'm struggling with is, we practice mindfulness every day. And there are some of my kids who really just don't like it. And I was talking to a colleague and she said, it's like everything else that you pack into your day. Your kids are going to sometimes not like it, right? Like sometimes they're not going to like the math unit that you're doing or the reading and writing unit that you're doing. But when they need it the next time, they'll be equipped and well equipped because we do it every day. They'll be well equipped with some of the strategies and skills that they can use. And that kind of made me feel a lot better because I feel like I've been like, that has been my thing all year is like, well, how do I make sure that Chris is enjoying mindfulness as much as AJ is enjoying mindfulness, and like, what do I do if like Robbie is sitting there bouncing around and Richie's got his eyes closed and he's trying to have a Zen moment? Like, how do I make it equal and meaningful for everyone? And then when that teacher said that, I was like, oh, that's it. Because like you said, Chris, self-care, mindfulness, whatever, doesn't mean the same thing for everyone. And so, just creating a space, giving people strategies is super duper important. And Stephanie said it earlier, right? It's fine to say those things, but you also have to create a culture where it's honored, right? You can't just play lip service to the idea that, oh, go and give yourself the weekend off, take some time, make sure that you're enjoying this 3-day weekend or you're enjoying your break. But that like, if something slips, please understand why that happened. Right. And it's because, I took a moment but I also love when schools, honor enough to create those spaces for their staff. Right. So I know it's not possible this year, but in years past, we've had, masseuses come in and like give a massage and you could sign up and have a massage, right? And if you weren't into that, like there were other things that you could do. And I think that sometimes we forget about some of the other options that could possibly take place in this COVID year instead. Does that make sense, Chris? Like, I know what you're saying, like the job of the educator is to be on all the time, but like think about how powerful it would be. And I know so many districts in my area practice a screen-free afternoon, or like a lot of their afternoons are screen-free. how powerful would it have been if the district had said, you know what, it's Teacher Appreciation Week, and this time we're just giving you back this hour and a half. Use it for whatever you need, not for school. Right. And it didn't have to be another PD session or like
that would be valuable as opposed to, getting a bag of chips with the note that says you're all that in a bag of chips. Or
well, I think that's
I saw a
also
funny thing
fun.
was like, oh, here's a pair of scissors. You're a cut above. Like, come on.
But then the other thing, like you and I have both complained about how sometimes PLC is not all it's chalked up to be. Like even a PLC session, like during Teacher Appreciation Week. Hey, we appreciate you so much. We know you're working hard this year. We're going to give you the next 40 minutes, the next 52 minutes, whatever your period is, and just go for a walk. Go, like you still have to be here, but go be you, do what you want to do. And here's a list of things that you can try for someone who has no idea where to start, right? Because I think for some people that's anxiety inducing as well. Like, well, where do I start with this mindfulness? Because like you, Chris, they are constantly going. Like, I don't know if you have an off button that doesn't include your family. Like, I'm not trying to like push anything on you, but like, I just know that you're constantly going, right? So like, what does mindfulness or like self-care look like for you?
Partly it's these extracurriculars like this right now, doing podcast PD. To me, that's self-care. Listening to podcasts, self-care. Cutting my grass, self-care. Weed whacking, self-care. I mean, and there are some aspects, and maybe you guys agree, I don't know, but there are some aspects of my job that I would consider self-care. In Voxer, Tracy mentioned this. Tracy from Rhode Island. She talked about how she will, certain aspects of lesson planning are exciting, and anything that brings you joy could be self-care. So if there's a lesson or an assignment that you're really into getting resources for, she mentioned, building out a hyperdoc. If you want to get into the weeds and like you're enjoying that process, that's good, right? Anything that makes you feel good I think should be considered self-care, even if it's still related to your job. Because again, if we go back to nobody should tell me how to do self-care, then it's whatever it is to me, right? Today, one of my buddies that I teach with, we went to a new brewery that opened up near where they live. So we went over there, right? Just hanging out with two people from work. Yeah, we swapped some work stories. We had our gripes, but we celebrated his birthday. We hung out. It was a nice afternoon out with two people who I consider to be friends, who I will see tomorrow back in the trenches, So again, if it brings you joy, it's worth it.
All right. So that has me thinking, I just Googled the definition of self-care, and the second definition goes with it, but I'll read both of them, right? So according to the Google, self-care is the practice of taking action to preserve or improve one's own health. Fine. But I like this one better, and this fits more with what you were saying with what Tracy said in Voxer, right? The practice of taking an active role in protecting one's own well-being and happiness, in particular during periods of stress. So maybe for Tracy, like you said, it is creating that hyperdoc and finding that sense of like flow and that sense of like ease where it's just like, this is all coming together, and it brings her joy. And she knows that not only will it bring her joy in the moment that she's doing it, but the satisfaction of it being done and the great work that her kids are going to be able to do in the future. It's like, it's setting her up for future joy as well, which is kind of cool. So looking at that definition, I'm rethinking some things, but yeah.
Good.
That is good. I like growing. So what are you guys thinking? Like, what, is there anyone in our YouTube audience or wherever you're joining us from, if you'd like to join us and talk to us about what you do for self-care? I know AJ said that this is not something that he does a lot for himself or with like dedication. I'm creating my own words for you, AJ, but I'm paraphrasing.
Well, let me throw some words in AJ's mouth. AJ, is us doing the Chase for 28 Yankee podcast, would you not consider that self-care? I think that's one of the reasons we started it.
Yeah, that's an aspect of self-care, but I don't look at it as self-care. Maybe that's my thing. I don't look at it like that because
You need to cast a wider net.
I'm not saying this in a negative way, but it's a little bit like work, right? Because we plan for it, we're watching the game, and then we're recording, right? So it's like work for me. So I'm not like just sitting back. And yes, when we're speaking, I feel relaxed, but leading up to it, like it's a preparation. I have to watch the games. It's homework. I guess that's my
Could there be
excuse for
any
the
better
Yankees.
homework than watching
I
baseball?
know.
I was
AJ?
going to say, is watching a baseball game really homework?
I was trying to make a joke.
Think about the
it.
people who do podcasts about, beer and food. Oh no, I've got to go out and eat and drink and get into my content. Come on.
I was trying to make a joke, but no. Yankees are my self-care right now. So I watch them because I like sitting back and watching the game, and I get a little bit of time with the boys that they can watch the game with me when they feel like it. So that's part of it as well. So that is actually, to me, that's more self-care than anything, because I get to spend time with them. I feel like anything on the computer is not self-care, because if I could get rid of this thing, I'd be happy to. There's just no getting away from the computer this year. Maybe that's why. I'm not looking at it like that. I enjoy doing it. But again, sitting in front of a computer to record it, to me, does seem like work, even though I like it. Even like you said, doing the lawn. I do the lawn not because I need like an hour of meditation. I do the lawn because the grass is getting long and it needs to look nice for the front yard. So while it feels like self-care because I'm by myself, got the headphones on, listening to the game or a podcast, I still know I have work to do. Maybe that's why I haven't been able to sit and read a book, because when I get into bed and I read a book, I'm tired. I fell asleep. Maybe that's where I'm having the problem, finding that separation.
I think you just need to figure out that some of the things you do are self-care and just classify them as such. It's not that you do it badly. You think about it poorly, but you do it. Whether it's coaching or the podcasting or, spending time in the shadow.
So you just have to shift your mindset.
Yeah. You got this, AJ.
Thanks. I sure do. Me and my self-care. Me, myself, and I.
You're good enough. You're smart enough.
Gosh,
doggone it. People like you. I hope nobody's trying to join, because I keep having to restart my computer, and that's the only place I can let people in. So if you are trying to join, please be patient.
All right. We are getting some suggestions, though, from some of the chats in here. So I love driving. Mel A says, I love driving out to a spot and hiking, chilling at a waterfall or river trekking. Outdoor stuff helps to disconnect. But that is me. And that is when I was in Taiwan and had a car. Haha. Camping. Right. And I'm with you, Mel. All of those things minus the camping are totally my rejuvenation. Right. Wild camping. So no facilities, no people. Yeah. Everything.
This would be a great time to play the "Are you sleeping in the tent?" But I can't.
I just love that you remember what you have that I've said out loud.
That's self-care, knowing what's on my buttons.
I do love a good outdoor experience, whether it be geocaching or hiking or, today after my son got his shot, now that he's in the age group that qualifies, we went for a little hike. We had a great conversation about all kinds of weird stuff. And then we went and got ourselves lunch. And that outdoor time was the highlight of my day. And my older son was out helping with the garden today, and that was really nice. And he and my husband went fishing. So I think our family uses the outdoors as a great space for all kinds of self-care, whether it be swimming or going to the beach, anything outside is good. Or like you said, AJ, the simple things, right? Hanging out with Caitlin must have been amazing for you. Walking the kids to school, if that's something that you enjoy.
Yeah, so that week felt like self-care to me, even though I was taking care of Caitlin and the boys in the morning. It did feel like care because I felt like I was able to kind of just be dad. Didn't have to worry about vice principal AJ. I was dad.
And for me, I just like the ability to slow down. Like that to me is self-care, where I'm not like participating in some like crazy educational rat race of like lesson plans and correcting work and checking emails and setting up something in Google Classroom or, whatever it is that is going to make my classroom run well tomorrow. It's just the moments away from that, right? Lately we've been getting into cooking here because we subscribe to some HelloFresh meals, and that has been really helpful because I hate cooking. And so like tomorrow I know that I will be in charge of cooking, and one of the boys will help me because they're learning a lot about food preparation just from these little kits. And that's been very helpful. So if HelloFresh wants to sponsor the show anytime, we'd love to have you.
That would be better than another potential sponsor we could get, but that's a story for another day.
Oh,
Keep it smooth, Chris. Keep it smooth, man.
Keep it smooth.
Right. And so Tim's saying that Tim Belmonte says that he loves camping, even though it does take work. It's different from the work that we typically do, which is my point. Anything that unplugs from the 9 to 5, or in most of our cases, right, the 7 to 3:30 or the 8 to 4:30. Yeah.
So I just got a text from Dave Franjosa about self-care. And he's got a good point here. And this kind of goes along with what you were talking about a few minutes ago. And he said, my problem with self-care is because it's a bogus concept. It's basically saying, go recharge so we can expect more out of you and continue to prioritize results over people. So what do you guys think about that one? Do you need me to read that again?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So my problem with self-care is it's a bogus concept. Basically with people saying, go recharge so we can expect more out of you and continue to prioritize results over people.
Here's why I disagree. I respect Dave, but here's why I disagree. Based on my perspective of what self-care is, I'm not performing self-care because somebody else is telling me to. I take time for me, and then the effort I give to those other things, that's up to me. Why are you laughing at me?
I wasn't laughing at you.
What's the problem?
It's not about you. I was reading something in the chat.
Oh, I can't see that. I can't see that.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
Much love for Dave, but if you, not you, Dave, but if somebody believes that self-care is something that somebody tells you to do, and then you have to change your behavior because of what they told you to do, then yeah, self-care is BS. But if it's because you want to do it and you're doing the things you want to do, which that's as far as I will go in terms of telling somebody how they should do self-care. Own it.
Yeah, but I think he's onto something though. I feel like right now, we're saying, you guys are working so, and I'm talking from an administrator point of view right now. And some people out there, you're working so hard. We're so proud of you. Thank you for everything you're doing. You deserve time. Can you give us time? No, I'm sorry. I can't give you time right now. I can't.
That's the problem I have.
But here's the thing. So from an administrative point of view, like during the day, things are booked. We're in for a half day. We're in 4 hours. First of all, I have no time to give you during those 4 hours. I have no classroom where I can send you to go be by yourself if you need to. There's a teacher's cafeteria you can go eat in if you need to. You can go hang out there. But there's some people there. And when the day is over, unfortunately, there is still a responsibility. The kids are still our responsibility during that time. So if I could say, hey, no blended learning today, which is our period of like 1 to 3 o'clock where kids come for extra help and do some work with their teachers and they have mandatory meetings. I can't say don't do that today. That's like saying in the afternoon after lunch, you're done. Let the kids sit in your classroom. I can't give you that time. So I can say, go take time for yourself after 3 o'clock. But then tomorrow I'm going to need you to do all this stuff all over again. We're asking a lot. We are. I'm not saying we're not, but we kind of have to because we're in a completely different environment where we can't just say to the kids, go be on a computer or go, from the hours of 1 to 3, you're free to do whatever you want to because they're still on our watch. I wish I can give more time. I really do. Like even for teacher appreciation, I was talking to the principal, and I'm saying, what could we do for our staff? Like we appreciate them. We tell them we appreciate them. Some people probably don't believe it. Some people think it's just hearsay and prove it. We're trying to say that we appreciate you. We're trying to show our appreciation. I wish I can give you more. I wish I can give you like a leave early. However, you're allowed to leave at 12:12. You're allowed to go home. You can teach from home the rest of the afternoon. So I can't tell you to go home. I can't tell you to skip blended learning. I can't give you the time back. There's no chance. I can't tell you to miss a faculty meeting because I only see you when I have the ability to see you during a 4-hour day. There's a lot of information we have to relay. So unfortunately, right now, our faculty meetings are us reading emails. Here's the updates. Here's what's been going on. That's all we could do. And it's over a Google Meet.
Wait, can we go back to, you just said your faculty meeting is you guys reading emails?
Not literally. Like it's basically just giving updates. We can't do like professional development. We can't do trainings. Like we're trying to keep it quick so we get you off the computer, tell you what you need to know for the week that's coming up because I don't see you during the day.
See, and that is the difference. Like right now, our faculty meetings are still professional development. And quite honestly, they've been pretty top notch. So I'm not complaining about that at all.
Our professional development, though, happens once a month anyway by department. So we don't have, so it kind of, we don't want to give you PD with us and then PD with your department.
See, but this is also where I'm coming from, right? Like, so I have 2 PLCs a week, a screen-free day. Yeah. 2 PDs a week, a screen-free day, and then the occasional faculty meeting that is professional development as well.
Yeah. So that's a lot. That's a lot.
Like I added up my hours, and again, to go back to the annual that I just did with my assistant principal, and she's like, it looks like you're missing stuff here. I was like, what do you mean? And she was like, well, you don't have any of your grade level meetings aren't here. All of your faculty meetings aren't here. All of your PLC time isn't here. And I was like,
did you get the 20 hours?
And that's what I said. I said, quite honestly, in the past, I've stopped at 20 because that's all we need for the year. I already have well over that just from our screen-free afternoons. And I had well over that before school even started because I participated in summer PD.
I was just doing my, PDP record of hours for the year. And, I'm at, well over 20. And I didn't even include 2 professional developments that I ran that they give you credit for planning it and running it. Mm-hmm. They're nowhere to be found on there.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the things that kind of killed me because, again, this is something I said on the Fonza show when I was on with Alfonso Mendoza for his show. I don't like being called an administrator. I don't.
Why?
Because I'm an educator. I got into this to be an educator. I might have a different title right now and I might be in a different seat, but I'm still an educator. Whether I'm educating students, whether I'm educating with teachers, I'm still educating. That's my job.
That's why I call this Educator Self-Care, not just teachers.
Right. But like, I still, maybe because I live with an educator, maybe because I hear from Jamie and I see like, I see this and I talk to people, I hate what the state is doing in New Jersey. I hate the fact that we had to action and all over. I shouldn't just say New Jersey, but I'm just so familiar with it. I hated the fact that we had standardized testing up until a couple weeks ago. I hated the fact that PDPs were there, then they were off, and then they were on. Your SGOs, they were there, then they're off, then they're on, and they're off. Like, stop putting so much on your guys' plates because, like, for me, I can hang in my office all day and not have to worry about anything. You guys can't do that. As teachers, you guys have kids to worry about. Like, your job is to make them feel good. Like, this year should not have been about the curriculum at all. And the fact that states are saying we're still going through with our daily wear and tear and we're going through the curriculum, it's not what this is about right now. This was totally about just putting kids in seats so that they felt good about being kids. Whether it's elementary, middle, or high school. I know the high school kids have to get ready for college. I know there's so much to do, but I feel like there was so much on teachers this year that while you guys were the heroes a year ago, you're back to, I don't want to say it like this. Some people look at it as glorified babysitters. Like, thank you for watching my kids while I can go to work, or something different than that.
I think it's interesting too, AJ, that you're saying like we shouldn't have to do SG. And if I'm like taking your words and spinning them out of context, please let me know. But like if you're thinking like SGOs are a waste and like state testing is a waste and all of those things that take up gobs and gobs of classroom teaching time and whatnot, like I don't see how like this year can be the only year that it doesn't matter. Because if you're saying like for this year it doesn't matter, then does it really hold value? Right. No. And like we were told that like despite the fact that state testing for the state of New Jersey has been put aside, we still have to teach the units that do standardized testing, because if we don't and kids get tested in the fall, which is a tentative plan here in New Jersey as well, then they will not have had any prep work for that. And that makes sense. But like, I don't know, like for the past 2 years, we've said state testing doesn't matter, but our kids are still learning. So does it matter? Like, that's my question, right? Like,
the problem is the
this
state
is a bigger
testing
question
will
for
not
the state.
assess all that they actually have learned in the last year.
Right, it never does. It always says this will be on the test, and this.
And I'm sorry. Hey,
Chris
is talking about real life things.
But let's also be real for a second. Have any of you in the chat, you guys, was there ever a point in a school year where you said, golly gee, I wish I could pull up those standardized test scores from last year and get into that data? Has it ever happened? Have you ever needed the scores after, other than when in that faculty meeting at the beginning of the year, your principal gets up and says, you went down in math. Let's go, math teachers. Let's pick it up this year. It's like, it's all garbage. I said it a couple weeks ago. If we invested all the money and all the resources in social emotional learning for our students in this state and in this country, this world would be a much better place in the next decade.
Yeah, but I mean, I know, because the states plural did this for accountability. Got to make sure the teachers are doing what they need to do. Got to make sure that they're staying honest. Got to make sure they're working hard. That's all this was. Making sure that you guys.
If for anybody who thinks the teachers weren't working hard,
but what does it say?
I'll tell you where to go.
What does it say that our own departments of education are saying? Let's make sure they're working hard. So it's not like it's just coming down from Governor X, Y, and Z. This is the State Department of Education saying we need to put these things in order. They could have changed anything they wanted to make it fit their vision of education.
Again, we have the vision being set by people who've never, or the last time they were in a classroom was as a student. Right? We're not talking about career educators making decisions for us anywhere. And it's all tied to the money. The system is broken.
It's upsetting.
And this is the opportunity to fix it, and nothing is changing.
Right. It's upsetting. Because then again, it
makes me want to do self-care.
Well, and I was just going to say, we've kind of jumped the shark here on this conversation where it like spiraled into something else. And I think rightfully so, right? We're talking about how some ineffective policies have led to the inability to participate in good self-care for many educators. And like you're saying, AJ, it's not just classroom teachers, it's school leadership as well. There needs to be some self-care up there. But as Stephanie pointed out, the culture for creating that is significant as well. And Tim Belmont has a wonderful question. He's wondering, is forced SEL actually SEL? And
now here's the thing. If we replace standardized testing with SEL programming, we would screw it up. Right?
Yeah.
Most
because it would
mandates aren't done well.
Yeah. I think Tim, yes and no, right? So this goes back to my question earlier. How do I create a place where kids feel comfortable participating in mindfulness and all of that, where I am carving out that time? And, for the most part, they have no choice but to at least sit in silence. Right? That is the only choice they have outside of actually participating in whatever mindful activity we're doing that day. And that has been my struggle, because it feels kind of icky. But when my colleague reframed it and said, it's really about giving kids strategies, right? Like you can say that all parts of school are forced, right? School is compulsory. Kids are supposed to be there and they have to sit through the science and the social studies and the reading and the writing and all of the other things. And so it becomes a bit, I don't know. I lost my train of thought. I looked down at what Stephanie wrote. She said, can they doodle or color? Anyway, so all of school is compulsory and it's just a matter of finding strategies that are going to work for them later. So Stephanie, my kids don't doodle or color. They used to when it wasn't called mindfulness. And maybe this is something that I look into for next year. Right. But I think it's just something that I'm going to question for a really long time when it comes to my own students and carving out that space. Maybe it's something we talk about tomorrow or Friday in Clubhouse, 7:00, Mondays and Fridays. And that's it. So it's about giving strategies, right? And those are the things that we as educators have been doing our entire careers, right? So a kid who, like, I'll speak for the K-5 area of, like a kid who, gets angry or frustrated, and a kid who, is just on the verge of tears or in the throes of a tantrum. You're giving them strategies. That's social emotional learning. It just wasn't called that until 3 or 4 years ago, right? And that's the difference, right? So, yeah.
It's true.
Right. The new math is, all of the strategies for new math aren't necessarily new. It's just we're vocalizing the different strategies people have been adopting to get math done for years.
Right. So it's just repackaging. So it makes it all nice and fancy.
And it's beyond skill and drill, which so many of our students' parents are familiar with.
Yeah. Well, those are our thoughts.
And those are our thoughts. Real quick, what are like the top 3 things that you guys do for your own self-care? Just so we round it out on that high note.
Top 3 for me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
this doesn't have to be top 3, like first 3 that
I'll give you 3 things that I do to make me feel like I'm actually like participating in self-care. I'll just go with watching the Yankees, listening to a podcast or a audio book, and then now this is besides hanging out with the family, like doing the lawn. I'll go with those 3 things. Hopefully everything I do with the family is my self-care.
Chris, how about you? We can't hear you. Whatever it is, one of you is muted.
It worked.
Yeah, you're muted. I see your lips moving, and I wonder if it's like one of those dynamic or condenser mic things that you do during a workshop.
This has been one of our best episodes ever. Mr. Podcast over here.
Shade. Do we have a guest? All right. So, Alyssa Kingsley, tell us what you do for your self-care. What are 3 things that you do for your self-care? And you're muted as well. I just want to give you, I feel like I'm the person who's saying
it must be Chris's. Chris. Let's blame it on Chris.
Alyssa Kingsley, you're live on the air. Welcome.
Hi, guys. So sorry. I was just putting my 3-year-old to sleep. This is so cool. I was listening. This is so awesome. Thank you so much for doing this. It's so fun. It's so nice to just be like listening at night while my kid is sleeping to like other normal people feeling the same things that I do.
Thanks for joining us.
Regular normal
like
people.
The struggle. It's so cool. 3 things I do for my self-care. Oh gosh, I wish I had more time to do more of them, but I like to read when I can. I find that that's just really like therapeutic for me to just sit down with a good book. I've gotten really into organization, actually, like just getting rid of as much crap as I can because my house is just a mess. And
Come to my house and help.
I wish.
Because it's a show over there at the Linda's house.
Yeah. I've actually gotten a lot better about connecting with friends and reaching out for help when I feel like I'm having like a meltdown moment, which happens kind of frequently. But I never really used to ask anybody for help because I just felt like everybody's feeling the same way. Like how, like that's just going to be a burden on everybody else to just say like, hey, I need help. Can we talk? But it turns out that like everybody else is feeling the same way too. Everybody else is like, I need someone to talk to also, but I didn't want to ask you because I feel like you're too busy to talk to me. So that was really fun. And I think like also just like normalizing that we survived a pandemic and that has a major impact on everybody. Just everything changed so drastically and we've just had to adapt as best we can for our families and for our students and whatever it is we could do. But those are my answers. But I love listening to your show. It's made a huge impact on my life, my professional development. I share it with my colleagues. I know there are some who tune in and listen, not necessarily live, but afterward. There was a lot of buzz in my circle about, I think AJ actually did a topic about critical thinking skills with Chris. There was a lot of buzz about that.
Thanks.
Huge buzz about that. There was so much information on that. So it's just really nice to tune in here and to AJ show and just get all this information. It's just so helpful. It's literally at fingertips. So thank you guys so much for everything you're doing and for being here like the whole time through the whole thing, just showing up every time for a show. It's so nice.
And we'll be here after it's all over as well.
I'm so glad. Thank
you for listening.
Alyssa, where are you coming to us from?
Bye, guys.
Did my question not make it through?
Yeah, she's in the groove.
Oh,
it's all good.
That's cool. Thank you, Alyssa. We should send her like some stickers.
Yeah. Thanks, Alyssa, for joining us. It's awesome to have someone come up and share their strategies. It sounds like you're a big fan of the Education Podcast Network. So be sure to check out like Tim Cavey's show, Teachers on Fire. And she mentioned every single one of our shows. We can move on and spread the love, Chris. It's all good.
Have to. Absolutely. Good. Always.
Oh,
that's how you learn and grow.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, Alyssa. Thank you.
And then join us I'm not sure where you're coming from. That was Chris's last question. But if you're up at 7:00 Eastern time tomorrow morning, join us on Clubhouse. We'll be chatting away.
Clubhouse.
Das Clubhouse. Also, Clubhouse is available to the Android folk. So if you're on Android and you've been interested in Clubhouse, reach out to AJ for invitations.
I'll give you an invitation. Just don't think I'm going to be hanging there with you. I'm sorry. I'm done.
You liked Clubhouse in the beginning.
The Clubhouse experiment is part of my. I'm sorry.
Self-care.
I was going to say the Clubhouse exit is part of my self-care.
I love that for you.
I don't need more of anything anymore.
That's kind of how I feel about everything else right now as far as social media. It's the one thing I'll keep up with because, again, I feel like it's a way to connect with real people in a real and genuine way.
I dig it.
All right, Chris, how do you self-care? What are your 3 strategies?
My 3 strategies. It might sound like I'm repeating myself, but it starts with me. So
selfish.
But you know what? Self-care is selfish. And that was really funny, buddy. You made another joke. Jackass.
This one we laughed at, though.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know that there's like a top 3 ways to self-care, but for me, it's I mean, again, I've talked about things I do. I've talked about things I enjoy doing in the past on, whether it's here on House of Ed Tech, if I'm doing it, I'm enjoying it, right? There are very few things that I do or even have to do that make me miserable. I just try and minimize those things. Something that can help me with self-care is, maybe not letting some of the things that frustrate me. However, then I wouldn't be true to myself if those little things that bother me, if I didn't let them bother me, right? So my advice to people who are trying to figure this out for themselves or maybe reflect on it would be put yourself first. Anything that, if it brings you joy, it's worth it. Now, what's Dave Frangiosa texting you about?
Nothing. It's
Nothing.
not Dave. It's not Dave.
Who
I
is
have other people. There's other people in my life that I talk to that want to text me during our show.
It just seems ill-timed that I'm getting laughed at.
I'm sorry. That's twice that happened to you.
Well, I love what Stephanie just said. She said these Sunday nights are part of my self-care.
Aw.
And Chris, that's kind of what you were alluding to as well, right? Like these conversations that we have on Podcast PD or the conversations that you and AJ have together on your Yankee talk show.
Yankee talk show.
Look, I knew I was going to say it wrong, so I was just going to go for what I...
Wait, new term, Stacey. Ready? It's a podcast.
Whatever.
Welcome to Podcast PD, the talk show.
What is it? The Chase for 28?
It is. Thank you.
Yeah.
See? I just didn't want to be wrong the first time because I knew I'd be laughed at. At least I could make a joke and be laughed at. See, that's my self-care. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, but like this is rejuvenating for me, right? And like you were saying a little bit earlier, AJ, it does feel like work sometimes, right? Because it's like, okay, I have to at least make sure that I look somewhat camera ready. Although tonight I look pretty garbage, but and I'm super tired.
You look great, by the way.
Thanks. I'm not fishing for compliments. I'm just saying that I can't come on here super ready for bed. I have to come on a little bit prepared. So it does feel a little bit like work, but once you get into it, the conversation is always wonderful and always worth it. And so that is a level of self-care. And I find that not only here in Podcast PD or talking to you guys in general, but I also find that with I'm part of a book club. And we started our book club last year as a form of self-care because we wanted to have conversations that weren't about school. And so that was really nice that we could meet over Zoom. And then when people felt a little more relaxed, we would meet on the beach. And that was really nice and fun. And it got me reading and talking about things that were not school related, which is also awesome. And, I just like Tim Belmont and a couple of others. I think Tim Cavey and Mel A. I like to be outside as much as possible, right? Running, hiking. I can't wait for paddleboarding to become a thing again. A few more weeks when I know the water will be warmer, and then we'll be ready, and it will be good, hopefully. And yeah, I think time well spent with friends is some of the best self-care. And every now and again, a good meditation or using the Calm app or listening to music and coloring or drawing. That's how or a good Netflix binge.
There you go.
All of those things.
There you go.
So I gave you more than 3, but
It's okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think that was a productive episode 99.
I think it was. And we have to figure out what we're going to do for 100.
Hundo. Whoop,
And
whoop.
then AJ's going into retirement.
Yep. Peace.
Right, we have to figure out when we're recording 100 as well. Because 2 weeks from now is Labor Day or Memorial Day weekend. So. Oh, Tim wants to know, AJ, do you still do Coffee EDU? That is also another great form of self-care.
Yeah, I miss those. Unfortunately, Tim, we have not done it. Yeah, I we don't really have a space here that's like an available space outdoor to get everybody. So we haven't done Coffee EDU since I think it was actually I canceled the March one. So the last time we did it was February 2020. So it's been a long time.
Wow.
We tried doing a Zoom. It didn't work out. Not because of what happened, just it didn't work well for us. The conversations at Coffee EDU are more authentic when it's face to face, and during a Zoom, you just couldn't have that. And I wasn't going to throw people in breakout rooms to have the conversation. So we have not done Coffee EDU. I miss Coffee EDU. I love those things. Gave me a little break from Sundays where it's monotony of waking up and doing the same thing. So that once a month, hopefully we'll get it back soon. Hopefully I'll find a nice little spot outdoors where we can have a nice get together around these parts.
AJ, for those who have not been indoctrinated into Coffee EDU, can you tell Mel A what it is? And I know that some Coffee EDUs have been taking place, but like you're saying, AJ, it's through Zoom or Google Meet, which it's kind of weird.
Oh, so what is Coffee EDU? Is that the question?
Mm-hmm.
Coffee EDU is a gathering of educators over coffee, where you're having these types of conversations with people around you. It's a nice little gathering of people, and you can have any kind of conversations you want. It's not like one conversation that goes around the table. It's a variety of people sitting together and having different conversations. And that was the best part about it. I'll be honest with you, listening to everybody's conversation, the different passions everybody brings to the table, and just how people were connecting. That's something I pride myself on, is getting people to connect and share. So I miss that. Face to face is much better. Can't do it through Zoom. It doesn't vibe well.
Yeah, and it was fun because you got to participate in a multitude of conversations, because I could be looking to my left and participating in this conversation over here. I could listen on my right and kind of just eavesdrop on a conversation. Chris is miming for me. It's wonderful.
Right. He's not speaking.
I mean, he can't distract us with the sound effects, so he'll just use rings and other.
Just sit here and just start making faces at us. Hey, I'm finally. Oh, wow, what was that? Your whole thing is like, oh, you are foobarred. No, you are foobarred. Yeah, don't even talk. Just don't even talk.
Yeah,
it's awful. It sounds worse than when you started, my man.
Stephanie,
this
which
happened on Friday? I don't understand. Oh my God, it worked. We finally got this. We should do this every time. Chris, your mic doesn't work. Nope, sorry, Stephanie, Chris, not working.
Stephanie, what Coffee EDU do you participate in? Because now is the time to kind of get into one, and then when you meet in person, it'll feel a little bit better, I think. Like you'll know a couple of the players. Yes. Jersey Shore. Yeah, they've been keeping it going.
Yeah, they've been doing they do it well through Zoom, and I know they have a nice gathering, and I know it's not just New Jersey people. So, I would recommend, if you want to get down with a good group of people that are doing it virtually, I think that's a very good group.
Yeah, Paul O'Neill and Corey Radish do a great job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I mean, they're wonderful educators to get involved with. So,
all right. So, what do you think, y'all? Should we wrap this bad boy up and start planning for episode 100?
Put a bow on it.
Okay.
All right.
So, Stace, do your thing.
All right. Say goodbye, AJ.
Goodbye, AJ.
Say goodbye, Christopher.
Goodbye, Christopher.
Goodbye, PodcastPD. See you in Clubhouse.
No, you won't.
I'll see you in Clubhouse and you in Clubhouse.
All right. Everything from here on out will not make it. I'm sorry about my audio. I do not know what's going on.
That's all right. The first 6 minutes can get cut out probably too,
It was like 9 minutes. The first 9 minutes was just
well, I know at 6:42 I said something that made you guys laugh your butts off, so feel free to delete.
Yeah, you did.
You did.
You did. You did.
Guys are the worst.
It's like dealing with 13-year-old boys.
Oh my gosh. And I live with them.
Are we still live? Why are we still live?
Because we're always live, but we're not recording.
All right.
Well, I mean,
Cold night. It's almost 10
it'll be out
o'clock.
there,
I want to
so-
go hit the bike. I love everybody. I want to hit the bike. It's 10 o'clock at night. I didn't do the lawn today because I was doing some other things. I took the car for a car wash.
All right. I'm
There's
going to be
self-care. Ryan
uninstalling
came
and
with me.
reinstalling software. So
Ryan came with me to go to the car wash today.
At
It was
the
fun.
car wash.
It was fun. Thank you, Tim. Appreciate you, man. I can't believe you're in Bergen County. We need to find time to connect.
Oh, AJ, I was up by you this morning or
Oh,
this
good.
weekend.
Great. Thanks
I was
for.
in, I was in
thanks
West
for
New
letting me-
York.
That's not by me.
That's not. It's in Bergen County. How big is your county?
Big?
AJ, don't worry. She comes out to Belmar all the time, and she never calls me either.
That's all right.
Do I'm in Belmar. I think. Oh yeah.
Hey, AJ, I'm in Hillsdale. Is that where you live?
Is that where you live?
Yeah.
You mean I'm going to live in Hilldale?
Oh, yeah. Back to the Future reference.
I love Back to the Future.
All right. Can you not make this live? Everybody in the chat.
Bye,
Talk to them
everyone.
talk to them on Clubhouse. You want to connect
See
with
you in
me?
Clubhouse.